Good morning, everyone. Great to see you. We're going to start in a minute or so.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone.
Yeah.
Morning.
Nice to see you again.
Hi, Alan. Good morning.
Morning all.
Thank you.
Morning all. Oh, I'm overwhelmed with so many people on the screen. Ah, great shirt, Massimo.
Yeah, fantastic.
Great shirt. You're going to support England in the World Cup, yes?
Yes.
Great. Hi, Monica. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, we're gonna kick off in about 30 seconds. If I could just ask you to go on mute. If anyone's got their voice on, please, their microphone on, please go on mute. Okay, we'll kick off. Welcome everyone. Could I just ask everyone to go on mute? We've got a little bit of background noise. It sounds like my colleagues in Azerbaijan. Could you just put mute on, please, everyone? Right, we're going to kick off. So good morning, everyone, or afternoon. I'm Helen Croft, UEFA Grassroots mentor, and it's my privilege to kick off our UEFA Disability Football networking sessions for 2026, the first of four sessions. We really want to nurture the power of networking. The main purpose really is to create a strong community of practice and even better, collaboration across Europe. Many years ago, when I first started, I was leading women and girls football in Wales, and it was a minority sport then, and there weren't many resources. And I really appreciated the network of people around me, the countries and UEFA who supported me. And I hope you will really enjoy and get the most out of this session and the 3 sessions to come. So just who's in the room today, a very warm welcome to the grassroots managers or disability leads across our 55 countries. A warm welcome to our UEFA Disability Group members. They have been guiding us, leading and supporting us in disability football for the last 18 months or so. A welcome to any stakeholders, Paralympic or Special Olympic guests. A welcome to our UEFA colleagues, Monica and Nicoletta from SES, and also to my grassroots mentor colleagues, Vlad, Shemek and Les. You'll hear from them. And finally, Jeff, our disability mentor, and Robin as well, who's a grassroots expert. So welcome to all of you. This is our programme for the day. We've got an action-packed session. So a little bit of an overview from me of how we support the 55 countries. Jeff will give you an update on his work and the work of the disability group. We will have some UEFA updates on grassroots awards and club development. There will be a chance for you to share your successes and challenges, just the high-level ones. We want to capture them today. Paul will lead that session. We've got a wonderful best practice spotlight from Giovanni in Italy. And then Les will just talk you through our Share Programme and what this could mean for disability football. We'll just check back in with you on the content of these webinars, see if we've missed anything, and there'll be some closing words from Paul. So that's the programme. I think we'll be about an hour and a quarter. We are recording. So if any of your colleagues have missed the session or you want to follow up and watch again, you'll be able to see it, and we will share all the slides. So please use the chat Please keep your mute on, and yeah, away we go. So I thought, particularly for guests who perhaps are not as familiar with our...
Şimdi yazıyorum. Tamam, şimdi
If we could just mute, or maybe Vlad, if you could mute everybody, that might help. So just wanted to give you a little overview of the way we interact with the 55 countries. This is our grassroots framework. We sit in the football development department with Olivier at UEFA, and this is the framework that guides us. So we have a charter. This sets out our legal agreement, the minimum standards between UEFA and the NA, and enables each national association to access funding. We also have a hat-trick programme, very important funding programme, where each federation has €1 million every 4 years to develop 6 key areas, one of which is disability football. Our third area is we have a very wide framework. We think about the player, the playing format, the game, the environment, that safe, positive environment, and the workforce, the people who make all of this happen on the pitch and off the pitch. And that's a wide framework for every national association to use. Number 4, we have our self-evaluation. Every 2 years, we'll visit a national association and have hold the mirror up to them and have a good discussion about what's going well and what they might want to improve going forward. There are 4 mentors who are all on the call today, so you'll hear from all of us. And we offer a bespoke support to 14 different countries. And finally, we have resources. We have our share, where we meet and share knowledge. We have conferences once every 3 years. And we have a wide range of guidelines, webpage and campaign resources for you. So that's the way that we actually operate. And to guide UEFA on disability football, we have a working group. A huge thank you to everyone on this group for the work they've done developing disability football as pioneers in their countries, and the support they're now giving UEFA to try and develop this really important area. So that was just a quick update from me on how we work with the 55 countries. I'm now going to hand over to Jeff, who's going to talk to you about this webinar programme.
Thank you, Helen. And firstly, I wanted just to say that my colleagues on the Disability Working Group have been a fantastic source of advice, of knowledge, of support, and has really helped to shape the programme. So they're on the call. Thanks, guys. You've really helped me, and in turn, you're helping develop disability football across Europe. Good morning, everybody. Fantastic, as always, to chat to you all. And I'm just going to try and take you through the webinar programme and yeah, why we're doing it. Just to firstly say, what we're trying to do is we're trying to replicate. Many of you have been on the Football in Schools webinars and shares, and it's a fantastic programme which we're trying to replicate for the disability programme. Yes, please, Helen. So what's the purpose of the webinar programme for disability football? Well, I think the main one is around this creation of a community of practice, really helping to develop the network, to help share good practice, to identify challenges and hopefully to try and find some of those solutions, to listen to thought leaders from around Europe about how they undertake certain challenges, how they look to solve some problems, and also to help us be curious, because that's the big thing from all of the webinars and shares I've ever been on, is about this curiosity and wanting to make a change. And just to say, this network, you're not alone. You may be working within a national association, you feel that you're the only person trying to develop disability football, but there are 55 other people in Europe who have got that responsibility within their respective national associations, and we want to try and bring you guys together to help you. Yes, Helen, next one, please. So when we look at what some of the principles of the programmes, very similar to Football in Schools, but we want to help you develop those partnerships. We can't do this in isolation on our own. We have to work with partners. There's some fantastic partners on this call. this first kickoff meeting, and we need to work with those guys to really make something happen within our region, within our national association. We do obviously want to make sure that all our programs are inclusive, and I think the key thing is that we want to ensure that disability is embedded in UEFA and NA thinking. So whenever you look at a program, whether it be football in schools, whether it be club development, whether it be women's and girls participation, something we think about is, are our programs inclusive? Can everybody who wants to play this game, are they able to take part in our activity? And if we can get to that situation, I think we're doing really, really well. Another one that I didn't think of when we first started was about using football as a tool for societal and cultural change. In some of the NAs that I've worked with, sometimes disability is hidden away. And a lot of the officers I talk to go, we could really use football to maybe change the way that our society think about disability and what people with a disability can achieve. And if that's an end product for what we do, that's fantastic as well. We do want to create some pathways, if we can, for all different impairments, all different people. And we also want to be able to train the teachers, the coaches, the volunteers, the parents to actually deliver some really inclusive football coaching sessions. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Yes, please, Helen. Yeah, so generally just wanted to give you an overview of how UEFA can support you. And many of you know this already, so I'll really just go through quite quickly. But, we have helped with investment, and I know it's not ring-fenced investment, but there is investment for disability football. Of course, we have it as one of our 6 key strategic pillars. So hopefully, as you talk to your grassroots managers, as you talk to your head of divisions, your directors, your those on the executive committee within your NA, then there is an opportunity to use some of the hat-trick money to really try to drive participation for disabled people within your country. We do provide program guidelines, and hopefully through this seminar series, then you'll be able to pick up more ideas about different things that might happen within programs. We have had Leeds Beckett University from Megan Hill do some work around disability football and the impact it's making, and hopefully working with Loughborough University moving forward, we'll be able, because they are in particular around disability, they are a university of excellence around parasport, that we'll be able to link into some research projects around the impact of disability football. Many NAs tell me that they haven't the workforce with the confidence to work with disabled players. Hopefully through the introductory course that we're developing at the moment, then we will be able to give them that confidence to be able to work with a variety of disabled people. And also, you have got access to me. Maybe some of you don't want that, but wherever possible, you have got access to me. I can hopefully come in and help if required. It's just not this coming Saturday, but on the 22nd of May, I'm hopefully supporting Peter in Malta as they lead they've got a convention around disability sport. Just want to give that as a very quick example of good practice. In Scotland at the Share, Disability Share we had, Peter, I sat with him and he said, there's no way that we're going to get disability football going on Malta. It's just impossible. We can't do the partnerships. We can't do it. 3 days later, after we finished the Share, I sat with him and he went, do you know what? There's some really good ideas. I might go back and I might try. And he went back and he met with the ministry. And now the Maltese FA are leading on the development of disability sport in Malta. So it can be done. They're doing some fantastic work in Malta now. And, I don't know if he's on the call, but Peter, if you are, some fantastic work and well done. We have a community page on SharePoint, which everybody has access to. But I went through it the other day and we've got some really good videos on there. And that's probably what is on there at the moment. So what we want to really try and do is make sure that on the community page, it becomes the ultimate destination for you guys. If you've got a query, that's where you go because you think you might find it. We're hopefully going to have good practice on there. We're going to have inclusive football practices, which colleagues who I'm working with are helping to supply the 8 that we've already got. We'll have videos, we'll have links into international disability football organisations. So as I said, that becomes our ultimate destination for if you guys need to know anything, and also your opportunity to post something that you're really proud of. And we hope that we can, over the next couple of months, we can really start bolstering what we have on there at the moment. And the last thing I'm going to come back to you and talk to you about is that we're coming to the end of year 2 of the hat-trick plan. And yes, Helen, please, next slide. And I just wanted to let you know that I read every year 1 plan that you submitted around your review around disability football. So what I did is I went through the plan. I looked at how it measured against what you said you were going to do at the beginning of the hat-trick programme, hat-trick 6. I then made some suggestions about what you might want to look towards for the season 25-26, and then just gave a little bit of narrative about how I thought you've been doing. That got fed back to your grassroots mentors, who used that as they began that chat with you. I'll be doing the same for year 2. So please don't think that nobody ever reads what you do. We absolutely do. I go through all the plans. I can't tell you how long it takes me, but I've really got to get some AI support on this, but I really do read all the plans and I do feed it back. And can I just say thank you to all of you on the call, because you all are looking at how you best can develop disability football in your country. We're all on different journeys, but we're all moving in the right direction. Thank you, Helen. So what I'd like to do is hand over to a fantastic colleague of mine up in Scotland, Paul McNeill, who's just going to take you through to try and find out something from you, so you don't just hear from UEFA all the time. We're going to try and get a little bit of feedback from you. Paul, over to you.
Jeff, thank you as ever, and thank you to everybody on the call. We're going to make this very simple, and what we're going to ask you to do is just with the question there, we're going to give you a minute and just use the chat box that's there, and just answer that question. Just type in very quickly what you think is what that question is asking. So if you can type in away, we'll have a look at the chat and we'll see what we can think. So what is your biggest disability achievement so far? Write your organisation name in, and then just a brief sentence on that, and just use the chat box so we can capture it. And after a minute, we might have a wee look and see what comes up. So I'll leave you for 1 minute, and let's just see what is that biggest disability achievement you've achieved within your ANA, a club, or anything else so far. So type away and we'll see if we get anything. Otherwise, we'll need to come and ask somebody. So is there an achievement? So a little bit about your association, and then just 1 sentence to tell us what that achievement was. And I'll leave you for a minute. Folks, thank you. Thank you. Some fascinating things in there, and I think, as Jeff and Helen says, we'll capture all them as we go. I think what was really interesting when you kind of go through it, there is a mixture. There's a sheer mixture, isn't there, of successes. And I think what we'll probably come to as you get to the end, the difference. And if you look at the chat yourself, you'll see there's from Armenia, disability football teams for children with autism. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Probably something that we never felt. Just one there when I was going through them, I thought it just showed you, and I think I'm always very praise of Jeff, because he's kind of just started that kind of bundle of fire many years ago to kind of go. But if you look at the Swedish FA there, I think that's a fantastic one, isn't it? In 2020, they had 97 clubs organising disability football. And in 2025, 163. So in Jeff's idea about what's able to be achieved, it can be done. It will be a rocky road, but it can be done. And then if we see there from Bosnia, creating those different environments to work with different children and grow and educate young people. So I think that's fantastically well. And then you can see there is an increase in the Welsh FA. So again, if you kind of go through that, you can start to see so many fantastic achievements. So that's absolutely fantastic to see. So I think we'll move on to the next one, Helen, if that's okay. That one, Helen, yeah, fantastic. And it's just before we go into this one, it's just brilliant to see there, and thank you for everybody putting them all in the chat. It's just fantastic to see the wide range and variety of messages that are there. And it's probably more that bit about inclusive. How do we make things more inclusive? And that's a really difficult word, but it's brilliant to see. Like I've just seen there from Gibraltar, that neurodiverse football training, and how we kind of do that in Iceland there about more camps being more inclusive. So absolutely fantastic. So yeah, if we always have to look at the positives in there, well, let's see what are those big challenges. So again, just for a minute, please can you just do the exact same? Please, if you can, put your national association first, and then a little sentence. All that just means is when we go to read all of these, we can then do a bit of compare and contrast, and we can then come back to associations and maybe have a general chat. And that will help us build the share events as we go forward to see where it fits in. So again, just a minute. What was that biggest challenge you're facing at the moment in time? And it can be a huge challenge, it can be a minor challenge, and it can just go across. So what is that challenge that people are facing? So again, 1 minute, and I'll let you go.
Oh, this is where we need a little bit of music, isn't it? You know, so
That would put me off. That would put me off writing.
I was going to say, particularly if it was a countdown clock.
That would put pressure on me.
If you could sing a song if you want.
Monica, now, come on.
If we would leave, that's my singing, not Jeff's.
It's interesting.
Folks, thank you again. It's I probably could have wrote some of those challenges down before we probably started. So I kind of understand them. I don't know who it is that put culture and resources, but if it was you, can you kind of go back in and just put your association? Because I think that's a really important one. We've spoke a lot, and Jeff mentions this in the network meetings, around terminology and the culture across Europe. We have different terminology about how we think about disability, and I think that's something that we should always try and look at. And the culture of our countries are really important. Lack of coaches to do things. I see my colleague Ashley from Scotland there. Of course, we work together, and entirely right. Funding and resources are difficult. Sometimes it's just one person in an association trying to do that. I think, as Jeff alluded to, and I think it's coming out loud and clear around some of our nations in there, the Icelandic LFA, they are saying that as well. A lack of knowledge and funding, I think that is a very key one. How do we do better training? And how do we upskill people to feel confident enough to take that over? But that does take resource, and it does take investment, and it's something we continually we have to look at. I think it's just that about that mobility bit, about how do we get people to events, and I think we should always think about that as a challenge. Sometimes we can think, well, we'll make our club as inclusive as we can, but sometimes people simply can't get to the venue. And maybe that's another thing we need to continually think about. And how do you take those barriers away as we work through it? And it's just a different way of looking at it. So again, and I think the part in there around about coaches and being able to do that, and I think as many people discuss, sometimes because we might have a win at all cost mentality, we'll just take the teams that will win, and some people will be left behind. And if people have disabilities, sometimes they're left there. So, folks, can I really thank you for all of that? Because I think what we can do is we can pull all of that information now across, look at where the common themes are, and build ways in which we can think about how we can take them forward. So, again, thank you so much for your time of putting that in there. And again, we will take them and debate them further as we go. Thank you. And without any further ado, I will hand over the ball now to Vlad, who will take us through the UEFA awards. Vlad, over to you.
Thanks, Paul. Good morning to everybody. So I'm going to provide you information about the UEFA Grassroots Award, but because not everybody who is in the call now might be aware of this award. So UEFA Grassroots Award celebrate outstanding achievement in the grassroots football, which represents very foundation of our sports, built and sustained by the dedication thousands of volunteers, creative the project, and passionate national association and clubs over the Europe. Each year, these important awards in 5 categories are designed to recognize, celebrate, and promote this inspiring work at the heart of the game, which drives forward football growth and development for all. Thank you, Helen, for the new slide. So, as you can see, our official partners, these prestige awards, EA Sports, FC, and the League, are providing significant support in each category. As you can see, we had the 5 categories: Best Grassroots Club, the Best Initiative by Professional Club, the Best Participation Initiative, the Best Education Initiative, and the Best Disability Initiative. And the partners provide for the first 3 places also the funds. So gold winner receive 10,000 euros, silver award 6,000, and the bronze 4,000. And this funding, the winners can invest in their project and expand and create even greater impact on their communities. Next slide, Helen, please. So in the Best Disability Initiative is recognize and celebrate exceptional efforts in advancing inclusivity and accessibility in the football. So these awards highlight our collective commitment to ensure that football is as a sport is accessible to individuals of all physical and also the cognitive abilities. These rewards recognize the initiatives run by the organization to break down the barriers, create opportunities for people with disability to actively engage on developing football. So whether it's through the coaching techniques or accessible programs, so this award acknowledges the relentless dedicated club, organization, or individuals who are champion in disability football at all levels. And at the end, by promoting inclusivity, fostering accessibility, and inspiring the broad football community, the best disability initiative category also exemplifies UEFA vision of making football an inclusive and positive experience for all. Next slide, Helen, please. And this is the top 3 project who were placed on the bronze, silver, and gold place. So bronze is a UNI Football League from Kazakhstan. Silver place KMF Mungosi project from Serbia. And the winner of this year was project League of Mighty from Ukraine. And the next slide, there is a video of the winning project.
Glad there's no volume. Well, I can't hear it. I don't know if anybody else can.
Де вони можуть спілкуватися на одній мові з такими ветеранами і людьми.
Любов до футболу так появилася ще з дитинства, коли ще з 2 ногами там мріяв хлопчаком. Це мені батько показав футболу. Він мене навчив не здаватися, продовжувати.
Його дуже створили для того, щоб в першу чергу допомогти нашим військовим, ветеранам, які поверталися з фронту. Найперше – це створення середовища, де вони можуть спілкуватися на одній мові з такими ветеранами і людьми, які також приймали участь у бойових діях.
They need something to believe in. They need the new goal in their life to move forward. We understand that football is the powerful instrument for that.
Але коли ми говоримо про амфутбол, то ми говоримо про перемогу над обставинами, перемогу над собою.
Тоді я зрозумів, що хлопці з таким бажанням, вони досягнуть всього в житті. На першому зборі ми зразу вже побачили, як вони працювали, як вони старалися, викладалися на тренування.
Попри амбіції реабілітації, вони дуже швидко хочуть стати спортсменом.
І вони борються на спортивному майданчику. Вони бачать, що не все втрачено.
Головне був зв'язок на радійки. Грати на одній нозі. Це супер. Продовжуємо далі.
На жаль, в нашій країні продовжується війна. І ми це бачимо, і це нас.
We are pleased that we are the gold winner of this award. The League of the Mighty is of the heart. So it's something like that.
Раніше боролися за життя. Зараз боремося за перемогу.
Thanks, Helen.
Thank you, Vlad, and that was an amazing video, and congratulations to all the Grassroots Awards winners this year as well. And now I'm going to hand the ball to Shemik.
Yes, thank you, Helen. Thank you, all colleagues, for being on this call. Just from my side, couple of information about the club project that we are now developing within UEFA. So it's called Club Charter, We are now focusing very much on clubs, because we all know that clubs are the places where people start their journey in football, where they decide whether they stay in football or not. Clubs are the place which provide safe and inclusive environment, which provide an option for player to develop, but also are a place where true sustainability are realized, are put into practice. Clubs are also creating pathways for players from for every age. Also link very much with other UEFA key topics like football in schools, disability football, coach education, elite pathway, elite performance. So we very much want to focus on clubs within next couple of months in this project. We call it Club Charter. And what is Club Charter meant to be? Let's look at the next slide. So the Club Charter is first of all, it's meant to be a support for national association. So it's a tool for you and your colleagues in NAs on your working with clubs. We also want to create a framework of club accreditation. We now know that around half of the federations have some kind of club accreditation schemes in place, while the other half doesn't have anything. So we want all of you to develop those kind of club accreditation schemes and systems, and support you in your journey in either establishing one or moving forward with the one already which exists in your country. We also want to lay the minimum quality standards for grassroots clubs around Europe, which would be applicable to all 55 national associations, and also show the options, pathways of how clubs can progress. So it can be both on the pitch and off the pitch. It can cover very different ways of how club can move forward, grow, get more players, create more pathways and more opportunities. So we want to also provide you and your colleagues in the national associations a lot of ideas, inspirations, examples, how you can do this with your clubs in your country. And the Club Charter is meant to be a very practical tool with a lot of guidelines and resources, which will be very easy to use, useful for national associations, and kind of tools and resources which you will say, okay, I like it. It can really apply to my everyday work. So that's what we want to do. This project is still at the beginning. We are still in the initial phase of shaping it and getting to the final document of this club charter. What's important here now to mention is that at some point during this project, me and the team, we might reach to some of you to discuss with you how we can also position disability football as part of this club charter. So as for now, I just wanted to make you aware of that of this project, that we are now working on it. It's still in the initial phase, but we are now working on it, and I wanted to make you aware, just for you not to be surprised when I at some point reach to you and say, hey, I want to discuss the inclusion of disability football as part of club charter, so that you know what this club charter is all about, and then we will have a further discussion how we can involve disability football as part of this document and set of tools and resources for national associations. Just a quick information from my side. I'm looking forward to meet some of you in person or online calls to discuss it in more details. And now I will pass the ball back to Jeff to lead us through the next part of this session. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Shemek. And remembering that the social model of disability says that people are only disabled because of the barriers that they face. So if we can remove the barriers to facility, to program access, to access to work, then absolutely nobody would be disabled, and we would be totally inclusive. And I think the other thing that's really important, that this, in all of the programs, we are looking at how we make the program inclusive. Remember what I said about embedding disability provision in everything we do, and you know, UEFA are really trying to do that. And Shemek it's fantastic that he contacted me, and we're talking about how we might be able to make the club programme inclusive. I'm now delighted to hand over to talk about the importance of partnerships to a colleague of mine, Giovanni Scap. I practiced this earlier, so I'm going to say it again. Giovanni Chakrapanti, who is thank you very much. He is the head of Paralympic and Experimental Division at the Italian FA. Some fantastic work. Giovanni, over to you. And sorry that I didn't pronounce it first time off.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you very much, Helen. Absolutely outstanding pronunciation, better than Italy. Thank you. I try to take over the presentation I'm asking for. I don't know if...
yeah, okay. I gave it to you, Giovanni.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you very much. My name is Giovanni Sacripante from the Italian Football Federation, and today I would like to share the Italian experience regarding football for people with disability, in particular the importance of partnership and above all in this case our partnership with National Paralympic Committee. I will share with you the process that led Italian Federation and our Paralympic football division to become officially recognized as a National Paralympic Federation by the Italian Paralympic Committee starting from January 2026. The journey was not only about governance or institutional recognition. It was about creating a stronger and more sustainable future for football for people with disabilities in Italy. And we hope that some elements of our experience may also be useful for other national associations. I'm trying to, unfortunately, doesn't move. Okay. The historic recognition by a Paralympic Italian Committee, it was a historic milestone for us. Starting from January 2026, indeed, the Italian Federation, our division, were officially recognized by the Italian Paralympic Committee. And we are in this moment not only a football federation, but also a National Paralympic Federation. So this recognition expanded the responsibilities of our division beyond intellectual and cognitive disability football that already we managed. From now on, our division, so the Italian Federation, is also responsible for the Italian Paralympic Amputee Football League and for the Italian Paralympic Cerebral Palsy Football League. And on top of that, very important, for the first time, the amputee and the CP national teams are directly managed by Italian Federation, exactly like the other national teams. This means that the athletes now wear the Azzurri jersey during international competitions such as European Championship, World Cups, and potentially Paralympic events. This is not only symbolic, because it represents, let me say, inclusion, legitimacy, and belonging within the football system. Why this partnership mattered? To understand why this partnership is so important, we need to look at the context. Historically, football for people with disabilities in Italy developed through different and separate models. Many organizations working independently, often with great passion and commitment, but it wasn't enough. And over time, the movement grew significantly. More athletes, more competition, more organizational complexity. At a certain point, it became clear that a more integrated framework was absolutely necessary. We needed stronger governance, greater sustainability, and clearer national representation. Most importantly, we shared one key objective: to ensure that football for people with disabilities become fully embedded within national football policy. So not external to football, but part of football itself. So our vision was ambitious, very ambitious, but absolutely clear. And we wanted to become fully ready to host traditional football discipline for athletes with disabilities, starting with amputee and CP football. But we wanted to do that through a shared pathway with the existing federations as stakeholders. At the same time, our objective was to create a clearer governance, a stronger decision-making process, better access to football expertise and infrastructure, and a stronger national and international representation. So the objective was not simply organizational integration. The objective was long-term development and sustainability. The process required collaboration between many different actors, players. Of course, Italian Federation leadership and technical department was absolutely crucial, but equally important were the Italian Paralympic Committee, the amputee football and CP football federations, and the wider football community. Because we also involved clubs, athletes, and families in a consultative and participatory way. And I think it's a very important lesson. Successful governance reforms cannot happen only at, let me say, institutional level. They need participation, listening, and trust from the community. One of the strongest elements supporting this process was credibility that Italian Federation was able to create, to build through the results. Indeed, over the last 5 years, we have a department, a division with more than 300 teams, more than 3,400 athletes involved, more than 1,400 matches directly managed by Italian Federation. And we manage also quality things like coach courses, management courses, wealth courses. So the results, let me say, were talking for us. And the key points, let me say, are numbers absolutely, but also the kind of trust we built all together. Before I talked about the importance, the crucial role, the key role of football community. Because this is a process, let me say, really a strong bottom-up momentum coming directly from the football community. Families, athletes, and clubs increasingly supporting us, and they expressed the desire to become fully part of the Italian Federation system. And let me say, it wasn't about to replace previous initiative activities, identities of our federation. It was more about belonging. It was more about people, family clubs wanted to have stability, recognition, safeguarding a long-term vision and investment. Of course, a process like that involved very important challenges because, for example, the most important one is that different organizations, as you know, have different institutional cultures and working methods. There were also concerns about regarding governance and the representation. You can understand that some stakeholders feared losing autonomy and also power, identity. And all these concerns is very important to consider as legitimate and needed to be considered and, let me say, respected. This is why a trust building became such an essential part of this process. Okay, so how did we address all these challenges? First of all, through continuous dialogue at leadership level. Second, through a very clear definition of rules and responsibilities. Third, by respecting the existing competencies, know-how, and histories of the organizations involved. The message was never, I want to say that again, the message was never about replacing anyone. It was building a stronger system together. We also adopted a step-by-step approach rather than imposing abrupt changes. And finally, we relied heavily on evidence and participation data to support decision-making. This helped keep discussion constructive and objective. This gradual, no, probably a slide back. Yeah, this gradual process eventually led to a real breakthrough because, as I mentioned before, amputee and CP football became formally integrated within the Italian Federation. Representation at board level was established. Governance, safeguarding, development framework became aligned within Italian Federation standards. And it was, let me say, it was the moment when cooperation evolved into true membership within the football system. And I believe this distinction is extremely important because membership creates belonging and shared responsibilities. So if I should share with you what is the impact so far, what has changed, I can say that, of course, the process is still ongoing, but we are already seeing very important impacts. Today, we have a unique, stronger institutional voice, an improved coordination, better long-term planning, increased credibility and within the football ecosystem, and stronger foundation for future development. Perhaps maybe the most important, there is not clear perception that disability football is not something separate from football. Today, it is really fully part of football governance and football policy. So what we can say the most important learning for other national association. I try to move. Yeah. From our experience, absolutely maximum humility, being humble. Anyway, there are several lessons that probably may also be useful for you, for other national association. First of all, our advice is to start from a shared objective and not structure. Second, try to involve leadership immediately early. Institutional alignment requires leadership commitment from the beginning. Third, respect identities while integrating governance. Fourth, let results support decision-making, as I showed before. And finally, disability football should be considered part of the core football policy, not an external project. Looking ahead, our work absolutely is certainly not finished. The next phase, the next steps will focus on consolidating governance and operational processes, investing in development and talent pathways, strengthening the European cooperation and coordination, and try to support the other national association in similar models. We strongly believe that sharing experiences and knowledge at the European level is absolutely important. Let me say it is essential for future growth, because many countries probably, for what we know, are facing similar opportunities and similar challenges. Last, just one final reflection. Football for people with disabilities grows when people feel they belong to football and trust the system. And our role as a federation is not only to organize competition, but is to create the right culture, the right environment where football can grow sustainably, inclusively, and credibly. Because when the game evolves, governance must evolve with it. So I hope in some ways our experience can be useful for you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Giovanni. As always, inspirational and great to hear your experiences. If anybody's got any questions, please pop them into the chat box. But Giovanni, I've got a question for you. You haven't heard the question yet. To be fair, probably 10 years ago, the Italian FA really wasn't involved in disability football to any great extent. So can you tell me, what were the key moments that brought about the change?
This is a very important question. This is well, today in football, we have a very important challenge. The very important challenge is represented by the new generation. Generation Z, post-Generation Z, a part of millennial. And for this generation, it seems that in football industries, we are focusing just in technology, for example, or new way to use the social network, for example. But we developed a marketing research where we learned that for this new generation, that, by the way, they are going to be very important. They are already very important, but they are going to represent more than 2/3, for example, of working people and consuming capabilities and so on. So what we learned is that for this generation, to work on inclusivity and inclusion, to work in this way is fundamental to have an engagement and attention, a dialogue with them. So if for you, for absurd, you think that inclusion, let me say, is not important, but even though, considering just from marketing point of view, you should work on that because it's very important to create a real connection with a new generation. For me, for Italian Federation, to work for inclusion is important by itself. But anyway, it is crucial for the not the future, for the present of football industries, and not only.
Yeah, thank you for that. Looking through the messages, and I see that Massimo, one of your colleagues, has put about the biggest challenge. One of the challenges moving forward for you in the Italian FA is around schools football and bridging that link between schools and adults. How do you think you might be able to make that link and provide? You have some fantastic competition for adults. How are you going to move children at school into that adult provision?
Well, you have to, let me say, you should have a startup approach. Sometimes, from my experience, when you talk about disability at the beginning in schools and not only, the problem you have or the problem you put on the table sometimes represent the first very important barrier and limit. And you lose so many time to talk and not enough time to do. And who is some expertise in terms of startup? You have to start. Probably not with a national program if you can't. For example, starting in 2 or 3 regions, 2 or 3 schools, 2 or 3 clubs. At the beginning, we didn't have all the teams of Serie A involved. Today, all the teams of Serie A have at least one team with us, Juventus, Milan, Naples. At the beginning, it wasn't so. For them, themselves were very, very important to understand our project, how was evolving. I don't know if it's clear.
Yeah, thank you, Giovanni. And you make a really, really good point there, is that, when all of you are looking at your planning for your disability football plans moving forward, it's not a problem to start small, to start in a small region with a couple of schools to begin with, to pilot, to see how then you might be able to expand it across the nation, across different regions. Giovanni, thank you so much for that presentation. It was fantastic. Just to add, particularly around schools, is that I was with Alyssa, who leads the Playmakers program, and she said to me, "Oh, how are we doing with disability football and Playmakers?" And that reminded me that when I come onto this call, is just to say that the Playmakers do have inclusive playbooks, which there has been an agreement that we can use them for disabled children within schools. So I really would encourage you. We've got some NAs on the call who have already began to start rolling out some Playmakers within their schools program for disabled children, both boys and girls. So yeah, remember that is a resource available. So please make use of that. And before I hand over to Les, it was really remiss of me when I spoke about investment that UEFA were making, that our colleagues and Monica's on the call from the SES department, they have supported greatly around national team and national team activity, and there are NAs on the call who have used the funding that is available through that department to help support that part of football. So thank you to Monica and your colleagues for all that support, because that really helps our programs as we move forward. And a great collaboration between football development and the SES department. So with no further ado, Giovanni, thank you so much. And I'm going to hand over to Les.
Jeff, thank you, colleagues. Good afternoon. What we're going to do now is just talk a little bit about the UEFA Share Programme. We've only recently just finished the football and schools programme, our 24 to 26. Our last grassroots share was last week in Belfast. And it's been interesting when we've been talking about the football and schools programme, how it's really been looking at how we collaborate and ensure that any of our programmes don't work in silos. So we've worked with 53 national associations over the 3 shares that we held in Latvia, in Portugal and in Northern Ireland. And all of them, when discussing their schools programme, talked about how disability was actually part of that. And when we talk about collaboration, Jeff's touched on the Playmaker there. It was interesting as well when we promoted the UEFA Take Care programme, about the opportunity not to see programmes in silo, but about how they collaborate and cooperate to really maximise their impact on the work we do. So with that in mind, we've now finished, or just in the process of finishing, just go back, Helen, please. Finishing all of the 24 to 26 programme. We now look to the 26 to 28. All of your national associations will have received correspondence from UEFA last month when you were asked to tell us which shares you'd like to attend in 26-28. So every association must attend 4 mandatory shares, and those are on the topic of coach educator development, youth diplomas and biological maturation, development of women's youth team national coaches, and as Shamek's already spoke about earlier, grassroots club development. However, there's also then 4 options from the 6 programmes that are available. And the 6 that are available are in coach education, goalkeeper development, fitness education and futsal development. In game and insights, performance analysis, and in grassroots, we have disability and player development and pathways. So you get to choose 4 of those 6. So really from us, the deadline to say which shares you want to come to is next week, next Friday. And also if you want to host a share, the deadline is next Friday to correspond with us, letting us know where you want to go. So if you do sign up for the disability share, and we obviously hope you do, if you're on this call, you might want to make that conversation with your colleagues in the association to do that. Currently, I think we're at 50% of NAs have told us which shares they want to come, but we are looking to run a disability share in the autumn of 2026, either October, November. Next spring, we'll be focusing on player development pathways, and that'll lead us into, in the autumn of 2027, club development and the work Shamek spoke about earlier, which will take us through to our UEFA Grassroots conference in the spring of 28 as we look to the new 4-year of hat-trick and the 4-year strategies as we move forward. So we'll just move on to the next slide. Just a reminder, when we do look at that, the process we use and methodology, when you do sign up to the shares, we reconnect, really bring the focus back to the given topic. We will have best practice webinars building on the work that the team and the disability working group are already leading on. There'll then be interactive face-to-face workshops. We look to protect the breaks in there to give people the opportunity to discuss, but to analyse and reflect. And then post-share, we always develop the resources to support the ongoing work. And really what's worked very well in the football and schools in the last 6 weeks has been that methodology of looking at National Association presentations. For the football and schools, they've all been recorded and they'll be going on to our Grassroots community page YouTube channel. So you'll be able to look at all of the 53 presentations there. We then have a short input from UEFA where we really get people to focus and our jobs to facilitate, and then lots of opportunity for the associations and paid and group tasks to discuss and really analyse and be curious about the work that goes on, and then we look to consolidate. So that's the sort of process we use, that's the methodology, and we'll move it on. So if we look at this, great today. We've had our kick-off meeting around the UEFA Disability Network. I think the team's done a great job in talking about where we're going in the future, the opportunities that exist for collaboration and building our network. Looking forward to the best practice forums in the coming months as we develop those. You can see there's dates already confirmed for June and July, and we hope that you all benefit from this, but these will all be recorded and shared, and to keep using this resource to come back to. And for those that sign up to it, and again, just that advert again, please talk to your colleagues to make sure that if disability is near the top of your list, you get yourself signed up. We'll come face to face in the autumn when there'll be 3 days of activity, face to face, challenge each other. And the plan that we're looking to do in them 3 days is that we would have there someone who deals with leadership and strategy of your disability program, and then a second person who looks at more practical coach education. I noticed in your chat earlier, several associations talked about wanting help develop your coaches. We have developed a resource that we've piloted with several countries already of a very basic 1-day course about that coaches will be able to use practical skills to give them more confidence and ideas when coaching disabled footballers. So the idea is when we come together on the face-to-face, one person will work with the team looking at the strategy and looking at developing programs and designing them, developing them and leading them. And the other person would work with us more on the technical side about looking at how they could roll out coach education. It'll be a bit of tutor training and linked to coaching education principles and pathways as well. So that's it from me, and I think I'm now going to pass the ball to Vlad Nishemik, but we do look forward to seeing you in the future. Vlad.
Many thanks. Thank you very much. So colleagues, in this slide, we would like to mention to you, I think the colleagues mentioned various topics, which will also cover during the shares. And also, we would like to ask you if you can mention in the chat box which other topic would you like to be discussed in the next 3 webinars. So what have you missed, what we didn't mention? If you can please use the chat box, write down your national association name and also topic which you like to be discussed, or potentially we can identify the national association with the best example. So please use the chat box. So we'll give you now 1 minute. If you just think with all the conversation what was mentioned during the webinar, and we'll think and potentially the input also in the next 3 webinars.
Yeah, Vlad, if I can just remind people, Helen did send out what the free webinars will be, but just as a reminder to you, there will be one around Mikhail from the DBU doing a good practice around being part of a team, and also around safeguarding. That's one of the webinars. There's another one where we've got David Faulkner, who's a thought leader, who's going to be talking about influencing upwards and downwards and sideways within your organisation. And another one around evaluating and planning for success. That's the last one, particularly as we begin to start moving into that planning phase. So they're the 3 we've got at the moment. If there's any more, then obviously, please, as Vlad said, please put it in the chat box.
So we got some new topics there. So colleagues, thank you very much. And if you got still something in your mind, even after the webinar, you got the email address of the Helen. Just please do not hesitate to send an email, which topics which we can cover in the next webinar. So now, for the final thought, I would like to ask the Paul for the final summary of the webinar, please.
Thank you, Vlad. That is very kind. First of all, thank you to everybody for their time. I think that is one of the most important things, to thank you all first and foremost for your time. It's really important that people give up time, and we know we have busy schedules, so it is really important that people give up their time. I have written down and on bits of paper in front of me, and it started to get a bit long, so I can already see Helen worrying about how long I might take here. So hopefully I'll keep it as concise as I can. But I just was I was quite motivated, emotional. A number of those words as people spoke, and as I read the chat, and some of my thoughts just as we went. Sport is so important to people's life. I personally don't think we really understand the importance of sport across the world. It is probably one of the most important and gifted things that we have. And I think that's something that we forget a lot of the times, because it's sometimes just considered that nice thing to have. And in football, it's sometimes just thought, well, it's only football. And we forget the impact that it can have on your life. If I'm open and honest with everybody, and a number of people will know this about myself, I'm neurodivergent, I'm dyslexic, I'm probably ADHD as well. I just don't want any more labels in my life at the moment in time. So I think when I'm in my 50s, I've decided that I'll just stick with the one label. But that made my life very challenging. In fact, it has made my life very challenging all of its life. I struggle sometimes to read information. I sometimes struggle to process information. And sometimes that can be a real challenge. But I smile because I have so many people who have looked after me. However, that was never always the case. When I was 9, a teacher told me very, very clearly that people like me will never succeed in life. People like me will always be at the bottom of the table, just because I was different. And that scar has always lived with me. It has always made me feel a bit on the outside. And I felt that all my life. However, I grew up in the 80s, and it was unbelievable sporting events. And I was so motivated by some things. I was so lucky that my dad was such a sports fan that he would sit me down, and I watched the 82 World Cup when Scotland did go 1-up against Brazil. And I said to my dad, we are going to win the World Cup. He told me, son, sit down, you support Scotland, it will change very quickly. And it did change very quickly. Brazil scored 4 goals. But I still had that moment, that key moment where I went out and I tried to do that. I watched some incredible athletes. I watched Florence Griffiths-Joyner win 100 metres, and it changed the way I perceived things. We all know that Florence Griffiths-Joyner potentially had other things, but it just made you think things were possible. Mike Tyson winning world championships, Sandy Lyle winning the Masters. These things motivated me and made me feel really good. And at that point in my life, I was about 8 or 9, and I found football. I found a sport that I loved. I found people and coaches who loved me, who made me feel really good about myself. Can I make one thing very clear? I was rubbish at football. I was very bad at it, still am, but they didn't care. What they did was use kindness. They cared about me. They told me that I would be okay, and they made me play. And I had always felt a little bit different. I never knew anybody else that was like me. I never knew anybody else that was dyslexic. And that always was hurtful. But these people in my club just made me feel warm. They gave me confidence that I never ever knew why. And even as I speak just now, I find emotional when I say that. And I know that from people that I've met in this world, in this community of disability sport, that sometimes that moment of kindness can be the difference to anybody's life. And when I look at what we've discussed today, we've discussed a journey, and it can be a long journey. It can be a long, long journey that is ahead of us. But that is okay. It can be a rocky roller coaster journey. But people, and the people on this call, will make a difference. You will make a huge difference to not only an individual, but to society and the way that the world is perceived. We know there is massive challenges ahead of us. We have all raised the one about investment, which is always going to be a challenge. We know about the highs and lows, and that can always be a bit of a problematic area. For many of us, we will see a massive high. Somebody will go and do something really, really well, but are we building it on really strong foundations? And I think listening to people, that has been the key, is are we building those strong foundations? And as you see about the work that we're trying to do, that community club, that opportunity when people come along to a community club, are we able to make it inclusive and not just use the word tokenism when we talk about inclusion? Are we true about that when somebody walks through the door of a club? And that is going to be a challenge, because for many people, they'll just want to pick the best players. But maybe we need to start to challenge that way and how we build those clubs. Again, the pathways are so, so important. How do we nourish those pathways? How do we make sure that everybody has that opportunity to play? Something that I always thought was really boring was governance. I would never want to speak to my governance department. I always thought my governance department were the boring ones. They were the ones that told you couldn't do things. However, what I have learned is governance is key to a lot of the things. And if we think about that with the way that we can build our clubs, we can govern them, we can ask them to do something. Maybe not demand, but maybe start to think about how we do that and how we make sure that we can use the governance of our organisations to ensure that we build the best platforms for the way that we go forward. And everything is built in partnerships. And Giovanni, I am not going to be as brave as Jeff and try and pronounce your second name, but Giovanni, that was a fantastic presentation on why partnerships are so key. We can't work in isolation, and we have to think about that on the way to go forward. And yes, those partnerships, whether or not it's with the Paralympics or other organisations within our own countries or wider, are so key. And Giovanni, I thought that key word that you use, listening to our football community, listening to individuals, is hard. They might tell us things we don't want to hear. They might challenge us with things we don't want to hear. But we have to listen. And Giovanni, as you said, football should be for everybody. It should be shaped to look like that. And that is a hard thing for us to do. And as Jeff kind of asked there and pushed about that bit about inclusion, I think that is really, really key, that we kind of look at that and we look at how we continue on that particular area as we go. And for me, just summing up, sometimes it's hard to live in the moment. Sometimes it's hard to realise the journey we've been on. I look at that and think, we're the people who landed on the moon, but we've not made it to Mars yet. And that seems a wee bit far. But we are the ones who are making the difference. And sometimes it's hard to pause, reflect, breathe, and look back to the journey we've came on. We've came on a fantastic journey, but it will take us a little bit longer, maybe, to get where we're wanting to get to. I think as many people have put in the chat, we all have to help each other influence change. How do we do that? How do we influence change? The big challenge ahead of us is we raise more awareness about people to participate, more people play, more challenges come because more investment's needed. But that's a good thing, because that means more people are playing the game, enjoying the game, and it will do that. And I'll leave you with this. In many years' time, people look back and say thank you to people like you who started the rocky, hard journey of trying to climb Everest. And that's what you're trying to do. It will be difficult. But today, an 8-year-old in Europe who might have challenges as a disability, hidden or otherwise, is wanting to play the sport that they love. And you are making that happen. More voices will influence and make change happen. Sometimes it's difficult to see the great work that is ahead of us. And when I read that chat today about all the great things that have happened, it makes me so, so proud of you. I know that we have massive challenges ahead of us in Scotland, but we're up for the fight. We will try and keep going. And for everybody on this call today, thank you. Thank you from a 9-year-old Paul McNeill, who found it difficult, who found a sport, but who found people who loved them. And that is you in this call today. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you, Paul, for sharing that emotional story and your lived experience, and for your information and for your inspirational words. We really appreciate it. So look, it's just a big thank you from me to Giovanni, to Jeff, to Paul, Les, Vlad, Shemek, all of you for listening, for the work you do now and will do in the future. I promise you the next sessions will be much more interactive. We have shared a lot of information today, but we don't plan on doing that going forward. There will be some best practice, some information, but also an equal amount of time for you to discuss in small groups key topics. So yeah, I will perhaps leave on the words from Jeff. Can we remove those barriers to eventually become totally inclusive? Thank you all so much. You know where I am if you've got any thoughts, ideas or follow-ups. Next week sometime on the community page, this video and presentation will appear. And thank you once again. I hope you all have a really lovely weekend. And Paul, thank you.